Well, howdy, folks. I'm here at the Galaxy Science Fiction offices, and I want to set the record straight on whether Harry was or was not a Galaxy Science Fiction magazine author. Yes, he was. He wrote for Galaxy, and it was published in 1994, posthumously, but he did write for Galaxy. The Boy Who Said No, and that's the rarest issue. In fact, you probably have to pay about $200 a copy now to get that thing with his story in it. And the way it came about was that Harry and I were talking one day, many years ago, and he said, if he hadn't done well as a songwriter, the next thing he was going to try to do is become a science fiction writer. And he really wanted to write for Galaxy. And he had met my dad, Horace, and who encouraged him to try writing. And but Galaxy was gone by the time Harry was really ready for the market. And then on top of that, he was already writing songs. So when you're writing songs, you're not going to really be writing stories. And he also he had $5 million in the bank. He didn't really need to write science fiction. Science fiction is written by desperate people who are desperate storytellers. That's what it is. Storytellers who can't find another way to make a livelihood. So he didn't need it. So he didn't develop it. But he was an awfully good storyteller, an awfully good myth weaver. A lot of his stories, the stories that he told about himself, were apocryphal. I was there at those events, so I know that those stories some of them were apocryphal. Not all. Not all the stories. The story about George Harrison, when he was over in Blue Jay Way, looking like Jesus with that robe. Oh yeah, absolutely positive. He did. He looked like Jesus. It's true. He's Jesus with a video camera, And certainly the story that he told about what happened at the Troubadour and all that. He told it straight. He told it true. But he embellished, a lot of things. He was a wonderful storyteller and a wonderful mythologist, in terms of not just his own stories, but stories that he collected and had been exposed to through his life. He's very, incredibly well exposed to very esoteric elements of our culture. And was very aware, for instance, how many people can you start off with by saying, "Fate, they get in get degum," and have them continue in Old English the opening phrases of Beowulf in Old English? Well, he could do it, and we talked about it. I worked with John Cage for many, many years. And John's and my last show was in New York. In fact, the person filming this was at her. It wasn't her gallery. She managed it at the H. Heather Edelman Gallery in New York, very prestigious gallery in New York. We did this. Harry and I had this. I'll tell you a story about that another time. But we had a collaboration art show together. So John and I had shared an interest in art and in music, and particularly in strange music. And Harry, you wouldn't believe this, but Harry was really interested in experimental music, a lot of different areas of experimental music, as well as he had also a very strong interest in areas of country music, loved country music, and oh my God, we had I should tell you some stories about some of the people, I'll tell you the stories in a bit. There's one fantastic story of one country western songwriter who was also a very well-known singer. I'll tell you that's a really fun story. Anyway, about Harry's stories, he elaborated, he embellished, it's true, but they were by and large correct. This story of Jackie Gleason was absolutely straight right on, 100%, where he was working on Skidoo. Absolutely, that's totally true. I drove him out to his car was either always in the shop. I don't know if he ever even actually. At some points, I doubted that he had a car because he depended on me for rides, or on Michelle. I actually I'll tell you the story about the cars real quick. I had an Aston Martin, and my ex-wife loved it. She just loved that. Linda, she loved that car. I had rebuilt it from scratch. It would have been Bill Cooper's. He was a lumber dealer in Los Angeles, and he had totaled it, and so he gave it to me, and I repaired it with Pat Patridge, who's the lead, had once been the lead in The Hypnotic Eye. It was a Hollywood B film, and we rebuilt it. Anyway, she loved the car, and Harry's half-sister, Michelle, had a VW with a sunroof. And I hate VWs. I really hate. I detest VWs. I won't drive a VW. I don't like Porsches. I don't like the feel of the things. I don't like it. My dad offered me 2 Jaguars. He had an XJ 6 and a 12, and I turned them both down. It's the hardest ride in the world to sit in a Jaguar. It's a really hard drive. So I like just a real simple town car, just for my fat ass, just sit there. Nice, comfortable car. Well, I got off into a tangent there. But what I wanted to say was
the girls, the Austin Minnie and Harry's half sister.
Yeah.
So
Michelle wanted to use my car, which meant I had to use her car, and then Harry needed to get picked up. Because I remember one of the reasons why that was. One reason was because we were going to do a photo shoot for RCA. No, it was for Rolling Stone. We're going to do some sort of photo shoot, I think, for Rolling Stone. Anyway, he needed a sunroof so he could stick, could stand up through the sunroof and be waving as he's. I'm driving, and Harry wants to stand in the thing, and he wants me to take the photo from in front of the car. How in the world am I going to do this? So we figured we can't stop out in the middle of the street anywhere. Like we were at that time. We were rolling down Olympic Boulevard. You can't just stop in the middle of the street. Okay, Harry, you stand up in the sunroof. Oh, by the way, his face was clown made. He had a clown. I put a clown makeup on. I got some clown white. And my stuff out of my McBird setup. I had all the stuff from left over from McBird. And I put the stuff on him, so I made a clown face on him. And we went out and did some shots in clown face. In color. I shot 2 1/4 square Hasselblad at that time. Fairly nice shots. I liked them a lot. They were for the cover. Why? We had found this old, abandoned town, a whole town. It was a town for little people, and it was a western town, and there was a long abandoned carousel, but the carousel was so diminutive. It was tiny, and it probably was called something like Tiny Town or something. It was just outside Los Angeles. And what happened is that Linda and Diane, who was Harry's wife at that time, at this particular time, and who I think was then pregnant with Zach, as I remember. Anyway, maybe not. I don't think she was. So she and my wife concocted this picnic that we were going to take a drive. So with the four of us, Harry and I and Diane and Linda, we all got in the car, piled in the car, and went out to this tiny town, and that's where I made him up as a clown. And he had this turtleneck. It was great. He had the turtleneck just right for the shots, you know. He happened to have the turtleneck on. It was a Swedish turtleneck. No, Danish turtleneck part, forgive me. Turtleneck. And so in the shots you can see what's happening there. And we're at Ferndale. We went to Ferndale, which is up in Griffith Park and stuff. Because you couldn't stop in the middle of the street, right? So we drove up to Griffith Park, and it was like, oh God, it was after we took shots out at the thing. We went to Griffith Park, we took shots, and we loved it so much. We went back the next day and we took shots early in the morning. Like it was Saturday mornings, we took shots like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's out there washing their cars in Griffith Park. This is quite a scene. Saturday morning, right, in Los Angeles. People aren't home. No, they drive to Griffith Park and they have water availability, I guess. I mean, they have hoses and stuff, and they're hosing down their cars and they're washing their cars down. And this is beautiful, shady glen all around. This glen, beautiful, big, broad shade leaves, you know. So we're thinking, what a great idea for a photo op, right? So once again, I get out the makeup and we put him into clown makeup, and we start off on this little bridge. And we start moving this down, and we took some shots there. So one of the shots, he said he would offer me anything that I wanted to keep that out of print. It was so bloody funny. He had broken a tooth, and one of his teeth in the front. He had broken his tooth, and the cap. Oh no, the cap had come off. It was the crown had come off. So I think it was a crown had come off in the middle of the shoot. And he's on this gate, swinging on this gate, and suddenly the end comes off, you know, in his hand. So he's got this funny thing, so he can't smile during the rest of the shoot. Because it's, you know, like that, they show his missing tooth. And so I got to tell you what happened. So we went down to Joe Brady's, because Joe Brady was our dentist, was my dentist, his dentist. So we walk in. Who is there but Mac Rebenak, Dr. John? And his tooth has also broken. So I'm thinking, this is a very strange coincidence, right? Very strange thing. In walks Sky Saxon of the Seeds. He has also broken it down. 3. That's all you get is 3 of these things ever. I've never seen more than that happen. That actually happened at dentist Joe Brady's. And you can ask Joe Brady yourself if you want to. Yes, that happened. Quite often, he had a lot of celebrities at his place. We ran into a lot of people that we knew. We had a kind of a circle of people that we knew. Eric Idle, I would never have met Eric Idle on my own. I only met Eric Idle because he was a friend of Harry's. It was kind of interesting. But on the other hand, Harry would never have met Frank Herbert, you know, if he hadn't been a friend, because I introduced him to Frank Herbert. And so I had the science fiction connections pretty heavily at that time, and Harry had all the music industry. I didn't have music industry. My God, I was working at the A&R department, and I still did not know the names of all 5 Beatles. There were 5, actually. Harry's considered a friend. So I'll tell you some more stories in a little while, but that's enough for now, because I'm going to go off to breakfast and have myself a good thing. So this is the Galaxy office right here. Peace be with you. This is old Gorbag saying, peace with you, be well, be happy, stay away from the handguns.